Hello everyone, this is Eagle Owl. I'm doing this video on portable gas generators. It's basically a form of backup power in case of an emergency. They make a lot bigger ones, but in all reality, you can get by with a smaller one smaller than what you think. And in an emergency, you really only need to run critical items. You don't have to, like, people got this mentality that you gotta power your entire house. You don't have to power your house. If it's an emergency, you just need what you need right then and there. Critical things. By critical, I mean your refrigerator. If your power's out long enough, you don't want all your food to spoil. So I would say refrigerator. Maybe you could power a microwave if you're trying to cook food, if it's out for a couple days. A light or two. If you got kids in the house and you need them to be entertained, you could power, a TV. When it comes to something like a refrigerator that uses a pretty decent amount of power, you don't have to run it nonstop. The refrigerator's closed and it holds the coolness for a while. So if you're using it to run a refrigerator, all you got to do is run it for about 15 minutes straight, and then disconnect it from the fridge. And then about every hour and a half, 2 hours, just run it for 15 minutes straight. And that's enough to keep the food cold. So you don't have to run it nonstop. A couple of years ago, we ran out of power, and I had one the same size as this, and it's only 900 starting watts. A lot of the common bigger ones are 3,000, 4,000 watts, and you can get by with less than that. But anyway, when we ran out of power a couple years ago, I ran my refrigerator. We was out of power for 2 or 3 days. I forget exactly. And I ran the refrigerator so the food didn't go bad. I ran a 51-inch screen TV so that my daughter had some form of entertainment. And then I ran a main light in another room, I think. So fridge, light, and TV. Had we needed to cook food, I could have just disconnected everything except for the microwave only, long enough to cook the food, and then swap over. So you can basically run just a couple things at a time. You're being selective. You don't have to be perfect and run the entire house. Some people have this mentality. How big a one do I need to run my entire house? Well, you don't run every single thing in your house at the same time. So anyway, I'm going to go over the one that I bought. It's 900 starting watts, and here we go. This was on sale at Harbor Freight for $120 after tax. Here we go. Okay, this is called Tailgator. Okay, now when you get them, a lot of the small ones only come with one plug. Okay, and there's the one plug. It's your standard grounded 3-way plug. So what I always do is I grab a 3-way adapter, which allows me to plug in 3 things at once, and then I just leave that on the machine like that. So now I can run 3 things at once. And then what you do with these bad boys is it takes a gas and 2-cycle oil mixture. You use 2.5 ounces of 2-cycle oil, which it's basically the way it's designed. It's convenient. It's one whole container, which is a tiny little mini container. So for 1 gallon of gas, you use the whole bottle of 2-cycle oil. If you fail to use oil, if you run straight gas, you will literally burn, you probably burn the motor up after about 5 minutes of running it, and then you'll have to throw it away. So here's how they work for people who aren't familiar with it. You come over here, there's a switch lever like on a motorcycle. You turn the fuel to the on position, and you come over here. This is the choke, basically. You put it to start position. That's going to choke it real good to help get it fired up while the motor's cold. Once it's gotten cold for about a minute or 2 of running, then you can back it all the way off to the run position, and you're good to go. So you put that in the start position, select the power to the on, and then you give it a pull. I'm going to show you how easy it is to pull. Ready, set, go. One pull. Okay, so we got right here. If the motor sounds like it's barely running, you got to move the knob to a position to where you can hear the motor running with more force. After the motor warms up for about 2 whole minutes, then you take it all the way to the run position like that. So basically, you got to judge it. You got to use your own. You got to use your own ear. The colder it is outside, and the colder the motor is, you got to choke it and make the motor run high for a longer period of time. And then once it's running solid, then you can back off. And this is just basic. They're a real basic setup. Now here's where you add the fuel. And if you'll notice, when I take this off, it comes with a measuring cup, so you can measure the amount of 2-cycle oil you need. It's all very convenient. And then it comes with a built-in strainer / filter. So this filter here will get any contaminants, any dirt particles out of the gas. So it's a very nice setup. A family of 4 or 5 probably want to get a bigger one than I got, but I just got one on a budget, just enough to run a couple basic critical items. This one is 38 pounds. With one hand, I can easily carry it all the way across the house. It's not that heavy. Now, the bigger ones, you're going to struggle to try to carry them by hand, and they usually come with an accessory with a couple wheels and a handle, and you just roll them. But that's all it is, okay? Got one spark plug. It's a one plug, one cylinder. And then here on the front, it just gives a couple of basic suggestions. If you're running a radio, it's about 100 watts. If you're running a small refrigerator, it's about 400 to 700 watts. It's got a air filter in here, so every so often you'll want to take that off and clean out the air filter. And that's basically all there is to it. There's a little exhaust port over here. If a person wanted to, they can buy a longer hose and then run the exhaust longer. And this is Eagle Al. Thanks for watching.